On her 18th birthday, Shiloh Jolie-Pitt did something that shocked the world. She walked into a courthouse and legally erased Pitt from her name forever. But this wasn't about teenage rebellion. This was about something much darker. Something that happened years earlier on a private jet that tore their family apart. And Shiloh wasn't the only child who made this choice. One by one, they all started disappearing from Brad's life. Today, we uncover the heartbreaking truth. On May 27, 2006, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt welcomed their first biological child, Shiloh Nouvelle Jolie-Pitt. But it wasn't just the birth of a baby. It was the start of a global media storm. Within days, her baby photos sold for an unheard-of $10 million. People and hello? Magazines went head-to-head in a bidding war, and the final deal shattered every record. It wasn't just about the price. These images were everywhere, on magazine covers, on TV, and across the internet. But what truly stunned the public was what came next. Every penny from the deal was donated to charity. But Shiloh's story was already unusual before she was born. Angelina and Brad chose Namibia as the birthplace, not Beverly Hills or Paris, but Swakopmund, a quiet coastal city in southern Africa. They didn't just fly in for a vacation. They arranged everything carefully, including security and medical care. On the same day she was born, she became a dual citizen, both American and Namibian. Local officials were honored. Some called her birth a gift to the nation. For a while, Namibia was at the center of the global spotlight. Tourism jumped. The Jolie-Pitts brought cameras, journalists, and fans to a country that rarely saw such attention. But it also stirred debate. Laws were reviewed. Changes were proposed. And yet, her Namibian birth certificate still stands as a symbol, one that blends celebrity, diplomacy, and family legacy in a way no one had seen before. Even her name had a story. Most people saw Shiloh as a pretty, soft-sounding name. But for Angelina, it held something deeper. Years before Shiloh was born, Angelina's mother, Marceline Bertrand, had a miscarriage. The name they had chosen for that baby was Shiloh Baptist. The loss left a quiet wound. Later, Angelina used Shiloh as an alias in hotels. It was her private way of keeping the name close. When the time came to name her daughter, she brought it back. It wasn't just a name. It was a tribute, a way to connect the past to the present. Shiloh's name carries with it the memory of someone who never got the chance to be born, and the strength of a family that survived the heartbreak. Then there's her middle name, Nouvelle. At first, it puzzled people, but Brad Pitt knew exactly what he was doing. He chose it in honor of Jean Nouvel, a French architect whose designs were bold, modern, and unlike anything else. Brad, a lifelong architecture enthusiast, admired Nouvel's work deeply. By giving his daughter that name, he passed on a message. Creativity matters. Art matters. And your name can be a reflection of what you stand for. Even before Shiloh took her first steps, her name told a story, one rooted in love, memory, and imagination. Shiloh wasn't just born famous. She redefined what fame meant for a baby. Paparazzi swarmed every appearance. She made headlines just by being seen. At 2 months old, she became the youngest person ever to get a wax figure at Madame Tussauds in New York, posed with her parents as if she were already a star. Most kids her age were learning to roll over. Shiloh was being immortalized in wax. Her public life was carefully managed, with tight security and very few spontaneous appearances. Every step she took was watched, photographed, and analyzed. And in that world of flashing cameras and endless curiosity, she still managed to grow. By the time she turned 10, Shiloh wasn't just the child of actors. She was a performer herself. In 2016, she made her voice acting debut in Kung Fu Panda 3. She played Shuai Shuai, a baby panda. It wasn't just a cute cameo. She recorded real lines, took direction, and impressed the DreamWorks team. Insiders said she was calm, focused, and professional, even at such a young age. The film made over $521 million worldwide, but most fans didn't even know she was in it until after the release. That's how carefully her parents controlled the spotlight. Just enough to let her shine, but never too much. And this wasn't her first time in front of a camera. Long before the movie, Shiloh appeared in multiple specials on VH1's All Access. These weren't ordinary reality shows. They offered a window into her childhood, the travels, the movie sets, the family moments. One episode from 2010 showed her backstage at red carpet events, laughing with siblings, and volunteering at charity functions. By the age of 8, she had appeared in over 5 episodes, making her one of the youngest recurring figures on the show. It wasn't just about fame. It was about storytelling, how her parents crafted her public image piece by piece, protecting her while still allowing the world a glimpse. Entertainment. Tonight also played a role. They followed Shiloh's life from the very beginning. In 2015, they ran a segment about her clothing style and early statements on gender identity. It caused waves. Some praised her openness, others criticized it. But it sparked conversations, serious ones, about acceptance and identity. She wasn't just a celebrity kid. She was becoming a voice, a symbol, a person who, even at a young age, was willing to push against expectations. By age 7, she started asking to be called Shi. To outsiders, it sounded like a nickname. But for her, it meant something more. She used it on set. She used it with staff. It was her own name, chosen for herself. And even though she hadn't yet made it official, Shi stuck. It showed she had her own ideas, her own identity, and she was ready to own it, even with the entire world watching. She didn't just spend her time in front of the camera either. Behind the scenes, she was just as active. On Angelina's film Unbroken, Shiloh helped organize costumes. She watched editors work. She studied the process. Friends said she wasn't doing it for fun. She was genuinely curious. She asked questions, took notes, paid attention. Her parents didn't just take her on set as a guest. They treated her like a student, helping her learn every part of the process. Shiloh Pitt wasn't just another celebrity kid dipping a toe into dance. At Millennium Dance Complex in Los Angeles, she went all in. The same place that shaped stars like BTS and Justin Bieber now had a teenager who refused to be treated differently. Shiloh showed up every day like her name didn't matter. She pushed through class after class, sometimes 3 in one day. She wasn't there to be seen. She was there to get better. Her instructors noticed. She didn't ask for shortcuts, and she didn't brag. By 2024, she had turned into the kind of dancer others watched in silence. When she freestyled, the whole room stopped. Then came the Doja Cat moment. It was June 2022 when a single video changed everything. Shiloh danced to Vegas at the same studio where she trained, and someone caught it on camera. The clip hit TikTok and blew up. Millions of views. Thousands of dancers copying her moves. Within a week, Shiloh Vegas Challenge had taken over the platform. Even Doja Cat reposted it, calling her style fire. That video pushed her past 1.2 million followers, and the momentum didn't stop. But going viral wasn't luck. It was years of sweat. A lot of that came from her work with Kalani Marks, a choreographer who doesn't go easy on anyone. In 2022, Shiloh began training with him privately, often late at night. He saw something in her that stood out. She didn't back down. No matter how tired or sore she was, she kept coming back. Marks ended up calling himself her adopted uncle on social media and posted videos of her evolution. He made it clear, this wasn't about fame, it was about the work. Their sessions became intense, even brutal, but she loved every second. She wasn't trying to keep up anymore, she was leading. By 2025, she made her biggest move yet. Shiloh Pitt was gone. In her place stood Shiloh Jolie. The name change wasn't just a branding choice, it was a statement. On her 18th birthday in May 2024, she filed the papers to drop the Pitt surname. No PR team, no family help, she paid for it herself. Then, in June 2025, she choreographed a dance number at a high-profile fashion event under her new name. It was official. She wanted the world to see her as her own person. No more shadows, no more headlines about her parents. Just the work. And the work kept coming. Dance compilations set to Bruno Mars, Rosé, and viral TikTok tracks hit the internet one after another. They weren't just popular, they were electric. Her fans noticed her rhythm, her creativity, her fearlessness. One clip from January 2025 showed how far she had come, and it racked up millions of views. Celebrities shared it. Major dance platforms featured it. Everyone agreed. She wasn't just following trends, she was creating them. By mid-2025, Shiloh had become a name dancers respected and young performers looked up to. But behind the rise was a past that still echoed. On September 14, 2016, a 10-year-old Shiloh was on a flight that would leave scars deeper than any dance injury. She was one of 6 children aboard a private jet flying from France to Los Angeles. Mid-flight, everything changed. Brad Pitt, her father, allegedly exploded in rage. According to court records and FBI documents, he grabbed Angelina Jolie by the head, shook her, and slammed her into a wall. Shiloh and her siblings were right there. One of them asked, "Are you okay, Mummy?" That moment said it all. Their world was falling apart in the air, and they had nowhere to run. The violence wasn't just physical. Pitt screamed insults at Jolie in front of the children, shouting, "You're fucking up this family." He poured beer on Jolie, red wine on the kids, and punched the plane's ceiling. Witnesses said he came out yelling every 30 minutes. It was non-stop. One child finally tried to defend their mother. Pitt allegedly lunged. Jolie stepped in to protect them, and Pitt slammed backward into the seats, injuring her. Reports say he choked one child, hit another. It was chaos. It was terror. And it was real. After the plane landed, Jolie took the kids and left. They didn't go home with Pitt. They went straight to a hotel, wrapped in blankets, shaken and silent. The FBI documented it all: bruises, burn marks, injuries, and testimonies from the kids. That night changed everything. Jolie filed for divorce soon after. What the public saw as a breakup was actually the aftermath of something much darker. Shiloh Jolie-Pitt could have been one of the most famous teenagers in Hollywood. The offers she received weren't small or uncertain. They were massive, guaranteed deals. Top producers wanted her to star in shows. Some even offered to build entire projects around her. One major offer came right after videos of her dancing went viral. Her moves at the Millennium Dance Complex caught the attention of Hollywood's biggest names. But she said no. Shiloh had every reason to say yes. She's the daughter of Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. Her parents have a combined net worth of over $500 million. Fame was hers for the taking. But instead of red carpets and interviews, Shiloh chose dance. Not to perform on stage in flashy tours, but to train. Quietly. For hours. Away from cameras. Her instructors say she doesn't act like a celebrity. She doesn't ask for special treatment. Some didn't even know who she was at first. That's how low-key she keeps it. Even when asked to try acting, she refused. She turned down roles that would have made her instantly famous. She doesn't even like being in the center during dance group performances. She keeps her head down and works hard. Her mother, Angelina, once said in an interview that Shiloh wants nothing more than to just be private. No photos, no red carpets, no attention. At dance showcases, she hides under hoodies. Even her social media is locked down. And then came the moment that shocked even her father. When Shiloh turned 18 in 2024, she dropped Pitt from her last name. Legally. She didn't ask for help. She hired her own lawyer, paid from her own trust fund. That fund had started with $4.1 million, the amount her baby photos sold for back in 2006. Shiloh didn't even tell Brad Pitt in advance. When the news hit, he was stunned. Some reports say he was heartbroken. But this move wasn't just about a name. It was personal. It came after years of frustration with the court system, especially during her parents' brutal custody battle. Back in 2021, when she was only 14, Shiloh wanted to testify. She wanted to speak up about where she wanted to live. She wanted to tell her side. But Brad Pitt's legal team blocked it. The court sided with him. Judge John Oderkirk didn't let her take the stand. Even though California law generally allows kids 14 and older to speak in custody cases, Shiloh was silenced. It didn't stop there. The judge gave Pitt joint custody against Angelina's objections. That ruling was later overturned because of the judge's connections to Pitt's legal team. But the damage had been done. Shiloh wasn't just shut out of the courtroom. She was reportedly blocked from speaking to federal investigators as well. Allegations of abuse were circulating, and she wasn't allowed to speak on her own behalf. Shiloh wasn't the only one. Court documents later revealed that 3 of Angelina and Brad's 6 children had wanted to testify. They were old enough. They were ready. But the court ignored them. Angelina's lawyers fought to remove the judge, saying it was cruel to silence the children. But it was too late. Their voices never made it into the courtroom record. What happened to Shiloh shows how broken the system can be. Even in one of the most famous families in the world, even with money, lawyers, and media attention, a child's voice can still be ignored. Shiloh Jolie-Pitt turned 18 on May 27, 2024, and instead of a quiet celebration, she made global headlines. That same day, she filed a legal petition to drop the Pitt from her name. It wasn't just a symbolic gesture. It was a loud, clear break from her father, Brad Pitt. In California, 18 is the legal age where you can make that kind of decision without needing permission from anyone. Shiloh didn't wait a single day. The moment she could, she took action. The timing stunned people, but what really shook everyone was how prepared she was. She filed the papers at the Stanley Mosque Courthouse in Los Angeles. That small legal move instantly exploded into international news. Shiloh wasn't just stepping into adulthood, she was stepping out of her father's shadow. And this wasn't just personal. The name Jolie-Pitt is tied to inheritance, trust funds, and an empire worth millions. Changing it wasn't only emotional, it was financial. Even more surprising, Shiloh did it all without her mother. She hired one of LA's top family lawyers, Peter Levine, completely on her own. No help, no guidance, just her. His fees range from $5,000 to $10,000, and Shiloh paid it herself. That sent a strong message. This wasn't Angelina Jolie pulling the strings. This was Shiloh, taking control of her life, her name, and her future. Peter Levine released a statement that added more weight to the decision. He said Shiloh made the move following painful events. He didn't give details, but everyone knew what that meant. The family's divorce saga began back in 2016, after a disturbing incident on a private jet. That one night changed everything. Allegations, legal battles, and bitter custody fights dragged on for years. Shiloh had grown up in the middle of it all, and now she was cutting the cord. But California law has a twist. If you want to change your name, you have to announce it publicly for 4 straight weeks in a major newspaper. So for a month, the Los Angeles Times printed her full name, her proposed new name, and the case number. It turned the legal process into a public countdown. Paparazzi, fans, and reporters followed every step. No objections were filed. When the 4 weeks were over, it was official. In August 2024, the court approved it. Shiloh was now legally Shiloh Jolie. Her driver's license, passport, and all legal documents were changed. Supporters saw it as a victory, proof that even in a family as famous and complicated as hers, a young woman could stand up and say, "This is who I am." But Shiloh isn't the only one. Her older sister Zahara made her own statement months earlier. In November 2023, during a sorority ceremony at Spelman College, Zahara stood before a cheering crowd and introduced herself as Zahara Marley Jolie. Just like that, the Pitt was gone. The moment went viral. Videos, tweets, news stories, it was everywhere. Zahara didn't explain. She didn't have to. The message was clear. She had taken her side, and it wasn't her father's. Their older brother Maddox had already taken his stand. At 23, he hadn't spoken to Brad Pitt in years. The rift started in 2016, the same night on the plane that changed everything. A fight broke out, and the damage was immediate. Maddox chose distance. He started using Jolie instead of Jolie-Pitt. Reports say he refuses to be in the same room as Brad. No reconciliation, no hope, just silence. His decision influenced his siblings. It deepened the divide. Pax, now 20, didn't stay silent. In 2020, on Father's Day, he posted an explosive message on Instagram. He called Brad a world-class expletive and accused him of ruining their lives. "You have made the lives of those closest to me a constant hell," he wrote. The post vanished quickly, but screenshots survived. In 2023, they resurfaced. The public saw the raw pain, the deep anger. Brad reportedly feels cut off from Pax forever. Even Vivian, the youngest daughter, made her move in 2024. She became assistant producer on a Broadway show, The Outsiders, working closely with Angelina. When the playbill was released, her name was listed as Vivian Jolie. The omission of Pitt wasn't an accident. At just 15, she was already making a statement. Her name on that stage was a silent declaration. That leaves Knox. At 16, he remains the quiet one. No headlines, no name change, no public statements. He still sees Brad, but the relationship is distant. Some say he's torn, stuck between two worlds. He avoids the spotlight. He stays close to his mother and twin sister, Vivienne. People say he's loyal, but quiet. Maybe he's still deciding. Or maybe silence is his way of surviving the chaos around him. In November 2024, Shiloh Jolie-Pitt was spotted having lunch with a fellow dancer named Keone Rose. At first, it looked like just a friendly outing in Los Angeles. But then, cameras caught a small moment. Keone gently moved Shiloh's hair from her face. It wasn't dramatic, but it felt personal. Romantic, even. That moment started a wave of rumors. Then came May 2025, Shiloh's 19th birthday. The two were seen again, this time shopping at Isabel Marant. Keone had his arm around Shiloh's waist as they crossed the street. It didn't look like a friendship anymore. And that wasn't the end of it. On the 4th of July, they were seen running into a bakery together. relaxed and smiling like a couple with nothing to hide. Except they were hiding. Neither of them has said a word publicly, but the way they act and the way they keep showing up together tells its own story. What's surprising is how long Shiloh kept this private. She's the daughter of Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. Cameras have followed her since birth. But somehow, she made sure no one knew about this relationship until late 2024. It wasn't an accident. Shiloh learned young what fame can do. She watched her parents' divorce unfold in the media, every detail picked apart. She decided early on that she didn't want her own life turned into headlines. She doesn't post anything personal on social media. She avoids big events and stays away from the places where celebrities usually go to be seen. Even her friends don't talk. Insiders say her mom must approve any serious relationship before it goes anywhere. That's why no one's sure what's really happening between her and Keone. Even after birthday sightings, bakery runs, and quiet moments caught on camera, there's still no official word. And that's the power of her silence. While the world guesses, she keeps living on her terms. Shiloh's privacy has become part of her identity. But she's not hiding everything. One part of her life is fully in the spotlight: dance. Shiloh spends hours each day at the Millennium Dance Complex in Los Angeles, a studio famous for training the best. Her videos go viral. Millions of people have watched her dance online. Her teacher, Kalani Marks, says she works harder than anyone and never chases fame. She could have taken offers for big shows or reality TV, but she keeps saying no. She wants to get better, not get attention. Sometimes she trains 6 hours straight, learning new moves, fixing mistakes, and pushing herself beyond the limits. Her mom supports it completely. For Shiloh, dance isn't a hobby. It's how she speaks. It's how she keeps control in a world that constantly tries to label her. And then there's something else, something even quieter: humanitarian work. It started when she was a child, traveling with Angelina to countries like Cambodia and Lebanon. She saw what it meant to help others. That left a mark. In 2025, people noticed her walking out of rehearsal, wearing a hoodie from the United Way, a group that helps the homeless. It was a small thing, but it said a lot. She's been joining local programs and quietly supporting causes that help children and refugees. And she recently dropped Pitt from her last name. It wasn't about rejection, it was about independence. She wants her own identity. Not just as a dancer, not just as Angelina's daughter, but as someone who blends creativity with compassion. Insiders say she might step into a bigger role soon, maybe even leading her own projects to help people in need. Just like her mother, but in her own way. Her silence hides the romance. Her dancing speaks loud. And her quiet acts of kindness might be the most powerful part of her story yet.